All right, there's a lot of the usual stuff today, but we're kind of jumping around. We're going from Batman to Mythic Legions to Bigfoots to football. Yo, got me talking about football because I'm Robo. This here's the rewind. And we're going to start with those football figures because they are so far out of my wheelhouse it's not even funny, but I do like a good looking action figure. These are the Harvinger Studios Collegiate Legends, which is essentially football players from college teams, which pretty self-explanatory from the title. Pre-orders are going on right now for 15 teams in the fall lineup. And the way that's worded, because I'm reading that straight from the blurb, it seems that more teams may be on the way, which makes sense. I'm guessing that licensing is tricky here as someone who's way far back, a casual observer of sports. I think that going to each individual team is a different process. All I know is I live 45 minutes south of the home of the Razorbacks, so I glean some things. Okay, I don't even know what season, what sport's playing at any given time. I just know when there's hogs flying out the windows, I know it's game day and to stay off the interstate, the highway. But being that close, I also know that if you want to sell Razorback merchandise, you have to go directly to the source, and sometimes it's not easy. That's all to say that Harvinger Studios may be picking their battles at the moment. They've either, they could have went to just their favorite teams or the ones that were easiest to deal with. Maybe other teams told them, well, let's see how it goes. We don't really want to jump into this without having some kind of background, some kind of record, some kind of sales data to work off of. So the initial 15 teams, they're working through those, see how it goes, and then approach or reapproach other colleges. I don't see Arkansas, and as we've established, I'm not really jumping into this line, but I may have to get a little bit of Arkansas representation so I can call them hogs, baby. Woo! Overall, there's the basic figures, just players from those teams, but there's also individual players, which I'm guessing is a whole new layer of loops and hoops when it comes to licensing. And then there's special deluxe autograph versions. Links are in the description. Something I missed last week by about that much is the Four Horsemen Mythic Legions RPG Paladin. Get ready for that. It's not even a name in the Mythic Legions realm. It's just a word that I've had trouble with since childhood. Paladin was a Marvel character I would read in the comics but never heard the word said out loud. So since then, it's been Paladin. And once the internet hit and I started seeing the word in different places, I learned that it's Paladin. But it's hard to break old habits. Here, I'll just read it. Four Horsemen Mythic Legions SDCC, I missed that part a minute ago, RPG Heroic Paladin / Cleric. Hey, it's not my fault that I didn't recognize that one of the characters in the initial image hadn't been offered by the Four Horsemen before. Like I've said several times, I'm just jumping into that line. And even being in that world for a little bit, it's still hard to tell what's new and what's old and what's swappable and switchable and whose name and that name and this planet and this realm. And I just like looking at pretty toys. Turns out that the Paladin / Cleric will be available in very limited numbers at San Diego Comic-Con next week. And no, I didn't even realize that it is kind of in the SDCC black and yellow color scheme. That had to be pointed out in the blurb too. And oh, look. But if you can't make Comic-Con, the Paladin and Cleric, I'm going to read this to be absolutely sure. The Cleric and the Paladin will be available in a slightly different way when the Mythic Legions RPG goes live on Kickstarter in early 2026. Along with this deluxe debut version, exactly as we see it here. So what I think that all means is that right now there is this limited edition sneak peek, and then when the Kickstarter kicks, there will be the Paladin stripped down version, the Cleric stripped down version, and then this, all the bells and whistles. And I believe that's it. My brain's still going, Paladin, you said it wrong. Did you say it wrong? Go back, rewatch the footage. But I'm not gonna, because that's not what we do here. We just... Boss Fight seems to be teasing something Hellboy. Something Hellboy. Give up. it's Hellboy. And that's pretty much all I have. Up until today, as I walked out here, I noticed that they posted this picture. So it's most definitely Hellboy. Well, the tail and the right hand was pretty definitive too, but this seals the deal. Of course, I'm hoping for 1/12 scale, but this could be 1/18th. Or even that 5-inch scale that they introduced with the Barbarians recently. The sculpt seems slightly more detailed than those though. So, at least that's my slightly educated guess. I'm gonna guess it's either 6-inch or 3.75. Because that's what Boss Fight does. If it is 1/12, it's gotta be cheaper than the 1000 Toys, which is a beautiful action figure, but the price and their right hand of doom kind of kept me from getting into that line. This is interesting. If it's in my scale. If not, this will be the last you hear of it. Not because I hate it, it's just, I can only cover so much stuff. In fact, thinking about that, 1000 Toys doing 1/12 scale, they may have that size on lockdown, like a lot of licensing things go. So maybe Boss Fight has to go 1/18 scale in order to get this. But man, wouldn't this look awesome with the Red Sonja they just came out with? That's just me doing my usual rambling. We're waiting. We're seeing. Kind of like this Playmates Toys Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles remastered 6-pack. Are they describing the box or my abs? It's not my abs. They're talking about the box for sure. I'm not sure we have any more info than what we see in this picture, but here I am flapping my gums. Let's do this. Like the remastered Turtles we saw a while back, this is essentially taking the vintage figures and updating them a bit. Just a bit. It's still Playmates. Shirtless Shredder, that's hard to say. Shirtless Shredder, a bit more than Splinter, I think. Because I look at Shredder and I think, oh man, yeah. Right back to the 80s. Splinter's proportions threw me at first, and appearance, and I think more than anything, it's the sleeves. Did the original figure just have bare arms? Had that cloth just covering here and a shorty skirt, which we do see here. There's a lot of legs showing. And that threw me for a second, but I came back around quick. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Because the talking point is the Turtles. If you remember those first releases, those remastered versions from recently, they look good, very throwbacky, but they all had skin texture. And that was the breaking point for a lot of people. I'm not saying everyone hated it. There were some who were, oh yeah, I like that. They're turtles. That's texture. But I wasn't really feeling it. So looking at this picture and seeing that they've smoothed all that out, how many times have I said, I don't need another set of turtles, but I don't know. They look cool. And I'm thinking the price isn't going to be too bad. What this does is give people options. If you skipped because of the texture, coming back around with a couple of other figures to go along with it. If you got those first figures though, and you just want Splinter and Shredder, there's probably people looking for just the Turtles with the smooth skin. So if you wanted to get the 2 figures and then get rid of the others, trade them off, sell them, whatever, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But like I said, the price shouldn't be outrageous. We established last week that I haven't been paying a lot of attention to Xesray and their Gladiator line, the Combatants Fight for Glory. They posted a new wave. I was enamored. I thought, oh, and I ended up pre-ordering the Woman in Purple. I'm sorry, I don't have those notes from last week here, but I'm gonna give it a try, give it a shot, see what happens. Lo and behold though, 5K Toys posted this picture this week, which seems to be Xesray Barbarians. And we are living in a golden age of barbarians. Seems like everywhere I look around these days, there's a Conan or this barbarian, this muscle shirtless guy in loincloth and fur of some kind with big axes and swords. And you know what? That's not me complaining. That's me spending too much money on things like that. Because even better, this is not a slight on Xesray. I just don't have a lot of experience with them. But my friend Eamon O'Donoghue, who works with Frazetta Girls and their Conan line, Fire and Ice, another Conan figures, some Diamond Select stuff, all over the place, also helped work on these. And that makes me even more interested because that seems like a track record, you know? Wow! So we'll talk about these again when they go up for pre-order, whenever that may be. Who didn't see Super 7 repainting their ThunderCats ULTIMATES? Thundertake into toy colors. I think we all had a sneaking suspicion that it would happen at some point. It was just when. Well, that time is now, exclusively on Amazon. So if you missed it the first time around, or you're just filling up a garage with big, huge, space-killing action figure vehicles, there you go. I do like the red in the mouth and then the black up on the windshield for the eyes. It gives it a more animalistic feel. And I did too many quotation marks. I also like the Panthro, but at the end of the day, I've kind of fallen away from this property. I simply niece and nephew Veeb's collection. You know, I go up there, look at it, play with it, but then I leave it to him. You know, he bought it, he pays for it, he stores it, he displays it, I just get to visit. And that's fine by me. I'm happy it exists, but I sure don't have the budget or the space for them. I'm too busy buying mystery machines. For me, this is just, hey, cool pics. All right. See you later. Last week, McFarlane Toys announced that the next round of their DC Multiverse Collector Editions would go up for pre-order this week. And here we are, this week. And here we are, new pre-orders. Don't you love it when a plan comes together? In that time, I could have researched Dark Stars and found out what they were all about and have a presentation of, well, this character or this group of characters came from this source and they were meant to do this and this and this and but I didn't. All I know is that it's an army builder and has something to do with the Green Lantern Corps. There you go. Knowledge. Not so much. The real bit of news here is the Platinum editions for these collector editions. We did not know these before pre-orders went up. And in the case of Dark Stars, it's more Dark Stars. I mean, it's a very unique design. Why wouldn't they just repaint them and add different pack-ins? There's a John Stewart head, which if you go back to the original, we also didn't know about the damaged helmet. And I do believe that's John Stewart's eye peeking through. But then there's another character's head that you can put on this body. I do like the classic feel to the paint job. The more muted colors, less metallic, more sparse, old comic booky. I say that not knowing when Dark Stars debuted. It may have been 2 years ago. It may have been 40. I just know that this feels more vintage. Same goes for Dark Archer or Malcolm Merlin if you're nasty. I didn't say that last week. I just said Dark Archer and I had a comment of, oh, no, what? No, that's Malcolm Merlin. Yeah, no kidding. I'm not a big DC guy, but that head is pretty much unmissable, unmistakably Malcolm Merlin. But that brings us to his Platinum. And when I saw it, I thought, who? Is that grown-up Damian Wayne in Merlin's costume? So I did a basic web search and remembered that Tommy was from the Arrow TV show, and that gave me a little more to go on. Come to find out there was a comic version too. I didn't know that. Kind of cool, but doesn't feel necessary, which is perfect for a Platinum edition, right? Something that you may want, may not need. It's just out there for people who do want it. For upcoming DC Multiverse, you know, because the teases never stop, McFarlane announced a deluxe theatrical edition Peacemaker since season 2's coming up. First thing I noticed, the gun. Imagine that. A character that uses that gun for the majority of his appearances has it with his action figure. Crazy. Who came up with that? Seems shifting from the main toy aisle over to the collector section in electronics at Walmart, at least, has done some good when it comes to getting the actual weapons. Or the licensing reverting to Mattel soon has Todd just going, to hell with it. Put it out. Whatever story you want to go with, whatever works best for you, run with it. Second, Eagly. Woo! Third, the blurb lists the accessories as 3 interchangeable helmets and an unmasked head portrait. Helmet options are awesome, but I'm guessing that the unmasked head will just be reuse of the previous variant, which didn't look great, but may look better this time around because 4 they up the paint apps on this damn thing. At least that's what I see from looking at the pretty promo that we've been staring at this whole time. This is all I've got to go on. Comparing that to the first Multiverse Peacemaker, I think most of the body is reused, but there's a lot more deco, which I guess is part of the deluxe theatrical edition title. The helmet silver is actually silver, and there's the nice blue-green stripe with a logo on the forehead. That may be a new sculpt or one of the alternate helmets they talked about, because there is added detail with some line work and the logo. The skin tones are nicer, the chest logo is repositioned, the belt buckle is painted along with more gear on there. Feels same old, but you get down to the nitty gritty and there is some new on the same old. Then just today, they announced their DC Multiverse San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. First up is Superman Kingdom Come with that red paint job, and I feel like we saw this somewhere. They announced this in a live stream or at a show or something. That's all well and good, but I think I'm more interested in the gold Hush Batman. Not because it's Hush Batman in gold, but because it's a throwback to a Kenner figure. What was it, a 90s Tech Shield or something? And I only know that because I have this hanging on the wall in the next room. The NECA re-release of Tech Shield Batman on their Michael Keaton Batman. Which makes me think, why Hush? Don't they have a Keaton sculpt that they could have done this with? That would have been sweet. Who knows what goes on in the mind of Todd? Since we're talking DC, Mezco dropped their 1/12 Collective Batman the Animated Series Joker this week, and I haven't been this torn over a 1/12 Collective figure in a while. Now, I have felt the temptation, I have felt the pull of a Mezco here and there, but holy shit, look at this thing. This is just siren song in my eyeballs. I'm looking at the pictures thinking, dude, I don't even care about Batman the Animated Series. I've seen a little here and there, but I know we go through this every time. Every time this subject comes up, go back and watch Batman the Animated Series. Someday, when I'm retired and don't have anything to do, retired from doing this, I'll be doing this until... And it's not just because it's another Joker. That's a big factor. I love my Jokers. I love all the different iterations, different looks, and I don't really have a 1/12 scale version in this style. More than anything, it's just the presentation here. Mezco killed it. Sure, there's the Joker themed accessories, the gadgets and the weapons. I love every one of them. We have constantly talked about my preference when it comes to soft goods. I think they nail it when it comes to regular clothes or a Joker suit. And it always, their superhero tights aren't bad. I just don't like or don't care for the mixed media usually. They have gotten better matching up the plastic heads with the cloth goods though. So there is that. But if I have my way, I usually gravitate towards regular clothes. But the kicker here is the head sculpts. That's what's calling me the most. Each one has so much personality. If I were to get this, I would end up displaying it with the standard Joker grin, but I feel like the other heads would be right there. Just swap them on every now and then, change up the pose, so when I walk by, it's like, oh, look at that, that's kind of nifty. Don't tell me you don't have a sound that pops into your head when you see this picture, this face, this pose, or this one. You're imagining it right now. I know, you know. Thankfully, this is a general release, so I don't have to make any hard decisions at this exact moment. But I feel like in the near future, I will be sitting at my computer at 3 a.m. thinking, well, I haven't bought anything in a week or so, or the past 36 hours. I deserve a treat for being so thrifty. I better pre-order. What have I done? BigBadWorkshop has been on a rampage this week, showing new pictures and teasing new lines. I do believe this is the first time we're hearing of Raven Society, or the first time I'm paying a huge amount of attention, because as I always tell you, I gotta see toys in front of my face in order to remember them. The blurb says what truly happened to Edgar Allan Poe in October 1849. For the first time, the darkness surrounding his final days will be revealed. Prepare for an all-new action figure line that unearths the mystery. I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that this is something that's gonna be compatible with Monster Force and all the other BigBadWorkshop lines, which makes me happy because I love all that stuff, and I love that you can swap between different series. But it's all those other lines that kind of worries me. Well, not worries, because I have no doubt that everything they've announced is going to come out. It's Big Bad Toy Store. Not much worry there. I just look at the scales, and there's a lot of renders, a lot of announcements, a lot of future stuff, and then as far as release things go, it's all cool, but it's not as much as this. Scales need to be balanced just a bit. Now, I love BigBadWorkshop. I love those guys. I love the toys that I have. I love a lot of the stuff. I need the Donner Party and something else we're about to talk about. All that, but need some balancing. Don't get me wrong, I like seeing new things, new renders, new prototypes, but I also want to play with some things. Like the Monster Force 2025 convention exclusive Phantom Core Command Unit. I nailed that, didn't I? I just looked down and I thought, oh, I'm never gonna say that, blah, 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 blah. Don't ask me to do it again though. I know we saw the render for this earlier in the year because they announced it before all the 2025 conventions. And I think I pre-ordered mine at Toylanta. This week they're showing physical copies in promo images because it'll be available again for pre-order next week at San Diego Comic-Con at the Toynami booth. Physical copies means we're closer to release date, and like I was just talking about, that's a good thing. More toys. And what it is basically you can have Declan in grunt gear, you can use it as another army builder, or Lieutenant Raven, a unique character, which is probably what I'll do, just add someone else to that display, to that group. But the new character that has caught my eye lately is Chatsworth. Again, we saw the original render, we've seen prototypes at shows. This week, it's an actual prototype in pretty promo pics, and that's exciting. That's the next step. And seeing it like this, come on now. There's options to be either warm and fuzzy, eating donuts, or rough and tumble with a big ass machine gun. There's options here, and that's always nice for the larger characters. It's more enticing to get because you can change things up. And it is fairly large. BigBadWorkshop posted this comparison picture with Van Helsing and I don't know. Oh, they can say 8 inches all day long, but seeing the figure actually looming over a regular size character, that sells it for me. I was okay back when it was a Warbear reuse, but I am so glad they went back to the drawing board and came up with a unique sculpt because it makes it even more. Don't get me wrong, nothing against Warbear, but it would have been, well, it's Warbear with a Sasquatch head. This is a Sasquatch figure. A badass Sasquatch for a badass set of figures. But it's not the last Bigfoot type character I'm gonna need. There is another, and another, and another. We'll get to that. Like it usually goes, as soon as I tied a bow on the last rewind, pictures of LooseCollector's The Crypt, Bigfoot versus Yeti popped up, and I thought, I wanted to talk about those too. Dang it. But there's always swinging back around. Oh, here we are. The deal was already sealed when it came to getting one of each of these, but after seeing the pictures and the price, I had to get a second Bigfoot for customizing purposes. Yes, I'm doing it. I need a properly scaled Alpha Flight Sasquatch for the Marvel Legends shelf. It's one of those things that I've been wanting to do forever. I didn't want to get heavy sculpting or modifying smaller figures. This is what I've been waiting for. This is just a head sculpt away from being Lankowski. Now, I just need somebody out there to sculpt a Marvel Sasquatch head that will be compatible with this. But it's also just an amazing looking Bigfoot to keep stock on the shelves somewhere, along with the Yeti, fierce looking bastard. Although a second one of those could totally work for Wendigo or Snowbird Sasquatch. But that's not as high on the list as a proper Walter Sasquatch is. So one thing at a time. Only so many pre-orders need to go in. But the reason I'm even playing with these ideas is, like I mentioned, the price tag. These are $110 each, which is still a chunk of change. I will not deny that for one action figure. But this is a big hunk of 10-inch tall plastic. Muscles, first sculpt, alternate heads, alternate hands. The Yeti has swap in, swap out horns on top of the head. They're just beautiful. It seems like $110 is a heck of a deal. I mean, just look at the comparison picture. It's bigger than Hulk, it's bigger than Warbear, it's bigger than the Crypt Monster Hide, which is already a blunt force trauma-inducing hunk of toy. By the way, Marvel Sasquatch is listed as 10 feet tall. This is 10 inches tall. I'm just saying. But like I said, there is another on the way. LooseCollector has greenlit me announcing that sometime within this pre-order period, a black version of this figure is going to go up for pre-order based on Native American legends. I don't know what it looks like, but another option yeah, I want to see it. But that's not all. As a Rewind exclusive, here's our first look at the Crypt Cthulhu. The note I got with the pic said, "It's not a scrotum. That is part of Cthulhu's early rendering stage. Bigfoot is our biggest figure yet. ... until this guy comes around." There's more to read, but I'm pausing for a minute to let that sink in. Kind of let you get a mental image. We've seen the comparison picture. Bigfoot's large, 10 inches. Again, it's throwing that out there. So, you have it? You ready? Until this guy comes around, then Bigfoot will probably be the size of Cthulhu's leg. My brain's struggling with this concept. And I'm not saying any of that in a bad way. I'm just hoping that this sees the light of day. Not that I have any... It's got me kerfuffled, is what it's just like, the size of like 10 inches, but dang, pow, probably wide, got the tentacles, wings, muscles. I don't know what to do here. It's a big dream, but dreaming big never hurt anyone. And this is just initial plans. That can change. Maybe it'll be smaller, more manageable. The price may not be as bad as what you're thinking because it's the Crypt. It's LooseCollector's own IP. He's not having to pay for somebody, for manufacturing, for distribution, for licensing. That's it. Like we saw the price with Bigfoot and Yeti. So it's that size, 4 times that, 400? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna attempt to move on. Well, because he also sent me this. Here's a tease for the Crypt Dogman. Something that feels a bit more manageable. I would not be surprised whatsoever if this debuted before Cthulhu. I feel like Cthulhu is gonna be a journey, a very long journey. Or maybe it'll go up next week. I don't know. Dave just sent a couple of pictures and blurbs, and this is what I'm speculating the rest. I'm waxing toyetic when it comes to the rest of it. We got some new Hasbro GIJoe Classified Series render reveals this week, and it almost feels like an apology for GIJoe June. Now, they did some reveals in GIJoe, but it didn't seem as grand as they had planned. This is what people are expecting, new figures. They also changed up the way they revealed these. Instead of just throwing them on their own socials, they went out to personalities or web stores. Web stores. I can't say web stores without thinking Masters of the Universe. Anyway, the Desert Scorpion and Scorpion was revealed by Adventures in Collecting podcast. Now, this is one of those characters I don't have a lot of experience with. I don't know if it came later in the line or it just wasn't my thing back in the day. But looking at it now, it's very... Maybe it's the Scorpion part in my head, but the yellow, everything... It feels very Mortal Kombat-ish. And when I first read the title with SK, how'd they spell it? RP10N, I thought there would be a robot scorpion, but that doesn't seem like a robot scorpion. That seems like a mutated organic scorpion, which is just as cool. I'm not gonna complain about a big scorpion toy, especially when it comes to the GIJoe Classified line. They kill it. They murder it when it comes to animal figures. Next was the Grim Viper from Full Force Podcast, and from what I understand, this is just a repaint. It's not... Is it an actual character in the lore of GIJoe? To me, it's just a kick-ass look. I like the original blue. I like some of the brighter colors, which is GIJoe to me, but there's also something appealing in a more muted, tough, I guess, color scheme. I don't know if I'd have him carrying that big ass gun, although it kind of makes sense. The Grim Viper, he descends upon the battlefield to wipe out the survivors and collect souls. The head sculpt really works with this paint scheme. Sci-Fi was revealed by Toy Galaxy, another classic character coming to the line. I don't find his costume and gear to be very realistic though. Wetsuit was revealed by Big Bad Toy Store, and this brings a little color to the line. Well, okay, we just looked at Sci-Fi in the bright greens, but here we have the oranges and all the gear and a named character, which is always cool. I was just never much into the water type guys for some reason. Then Entertainment Earth hit us with Mainframe, and again, same situation, adding to the Joe ranks. When these were first announced, there was some confusion as to whether some or all or one was going to be some kind of San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, but I think it's been confirmed since then that these are all mainline, so don't worry, they're all going to be fairly easy to get as far as pre-orders go. Here's something I wasn't expecting this week, an initial reveal for the Bandai SH Figuarts Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Scarlet Spider. A lot of S's, a lot of spiders in that title. Now, I should have expected this because he was in Across the Spider-Verse in this very heavily shaded look. I saw some comments of, well, that's too much, it's ugly, it's muddy, but this is what he looked like. And I think that was a lot of the comic appearances too. So you could use it, movie, animated series, comic book shelf, whatever. And the pictures aren't flipping because they haven't showed anything else. It's just this. And I know what you're thinking. I'm about to grop about the garage door hips. And yeah, they do stick out, but not as much. I think it's because of it going into shadow in the crotch area. I think that does an okay job of hiding that. It's still there. And I'm sure when we see more poses, it'll be more apparent, but right now it helps. The heavy shading adds to it. It kind of draws your eye away from what I want to grop about. Then there's, of course, the reds, the whites, the blues, the yellows, kind of muted, kind of in the background of the main design element, that shading, but still works. It's kind of weird for Medicom to announce a MAFEX Scarlet Spider with the shading a few weeks back and then Figuarts coming up behind them. It's usually the other way around. There's usually the Figuarts and then MAFEX takes their time. We want to get it right. But this is just another option because the MAFEX is not based on Across the Spider-Verse. It's based on the comic books, and it's more of a subtle, the shade work's still there, but it's got some better fading to it. This is just hard lines, just color, shade, shadow, blue, yellow. You're just gonna have to pick your poison, your personal preference, go from there. And see how I'm segueing? I just mentioned Medicom. I just said MAFEX several times, and they are teasing another spider-type character with the Let There Be Carnage Venom. Like I said, they like to take their sweet-ass time. There's already been a third movie in the Venom series. Medicom's just doing the second movie. And this looks interesting with the oily skin and the line work and the unmasked face. Have we had that on a Venom figure, a cinematic Eddie Brock yet from anybody? I can't remember. I don't think so, but I'm not gonna say definitively. So I'm just gonna say, MAFEX is doing it. That's fine, that's dandy, but I think I'm more interested in their tease for a MAFEX comic book Punisher. Now, I was thrown off by the chest skull at first because my brain's so used to the modern take, but there's nothing wrong with going back to the classic. In fact, that may be more tempting because I don't have that on an action figure at the moment. The bright white, the grayish black to the costume, the gun in the hand over there. When I first saw this, I thought, hasn't Medicom been pulling weapons from characters that have weapons? Well, when it comes to Punisher, why even make Punisher if they're not going to give them weapons? But have no fear, or at least, Robo, have no fear. Calm down. There's a pistol over there. I've been skipping on a lot of MAFEX in the recent. I think I've got Tim Drake Robin from Hush on pre-order and maybe a Star Wars character. So, I've been rather thrifty when it comes to Medicom. I should treat myself. I think I'll get this Punisher. And that's all I got for this week. That's what caught my eye. If I missed anything, we won't be swinging back around next week. As always, special thanks to the No-Bots and the No-Buddies, the Patreon and the channel members, getting back in the swing of things. They got to see the Scooby-Doo intro before anybody else. And a couple of teases on the way, I think. But no, we won't be swinging back around next week because it's San Diego Comic-Con. I think I'm heading up early since I haven't been to Vives' house in a year. Since last San Diego Comic-Con, I'm gonna go up there, catch up a little bit. So I'm not showing up the night before we jump on a plane and staying up till 2 a.m. looking at new toys and talking about things and whatever. May try to do some live streams from San Diego or post some video. It's always a crapshoot when I'm at a show of what happens, of what I get filmed, how I upload. Depends on the hotel, depends on the editing software cooperating, my phone not just going to hell. For sure, the week after, we'll come back around, talk about everything. Like how I'm hoping that Jada Toys is gonna show Scooby-Doo Wave 2 because I was able to lay early hands on Wave 1 and they are so good. If you haven't seen that review, go check that out. Something I didn't realize until after I shot and posted that review is that, well, I was so excited to get them that I didn't even occur to me that these are more modern takes or based on more recent looks, especially for Shaggy. I'm not sure if the Creeper or the Mummy have appeared in more recent cartoons, but going back, there's a twist on them, which is not a bad thing. It's still iconic, and that's the big thing, is their iconic looks. But Shaggy, I went back and watched the original Mummy episode, and yeah, this is still nostalgic to me because my kids watched Scooby-Doo, and when they were watching Scooby-Doo, I would watch the newer Scooby-Doo episodes too. So I have a lot of new Scooby in me and a lot of old Scooby in me. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but you know what I mean. This nails the iconic looks, my mental image, which was a mix of the original and the newer looks. So either way, the line kicks ass. That's what matters. I am going to try to shoot the Marvel Legends Fantastic Four wave to post as I'm traveling, and maybe something else. I don't know, something to go up in between. Maybe the Savage Crucible Ball and Chain Barbarian? Since we're on a barbarian kick. That sounds fun, and that's what it comes down to. I'm just going to try to have some fun on the camera, throw it up in front of you. Maybe you'll have some fun watching it, and it's win-win, right? We're all having fun. San Diego always throws a wrench into things as far as the channel goes, but we'll talk about toys. We'll be back around. Bye.